Welcome to Ditch the Nerves, the podcast where you keep calm and lead on. I am Rekha Matthew, your host for this episode. Today we have a very special guest who surely knows how to bring the house down with laughter. He is a spectacular storyteller with a sharp wit and knack for impersonations. Please join me in welcoming the District 91 Toastmasters Humorous Speech winner for 2025, Danny Wang. Danny, I'm so thrilled to have you with us.
Thank you, Reiko. What an amazing introduction. Did you introduce everyone like that, or was it just me?
Just you. It's a special.
Sure? Is that what you say to everyone, yeah? I should hire you to be my...
I haven't seen the other one, so.
Yes, I'm doing great, thank you. And yourself, having a good evening?
Yes, I am. Been awesome, thank you.
Good.
I had the opportunity to watch you deliver your winning speech at the District 91 contest, and I must say, for those of you who don't know, Wang did an amazing Trump impersonation, and I absolutely loved it. So, Danny, I would love to know, have you always had this sort of a natural flair for humor and impressions, or is it something over time that you had to work on and develop, be it through Toastmasters or outside?
I don't think I've always had a natural flair for humour. Actually, this was my first ever humorous speech. I've never done a speech that was humorous before this competition. So I did some research into it, and the main fear I had with doing humorous speeches was that it may come out as cringe or unfunny. So I was researching online, asking AI. I was like, how can I make my speech funny but not cringe or unfunny, right? And the first response was to be self-deprecating. So make yourself the subject of the laughter, make yourself the humour. So I made myself out to be a crazy person who was really stingy over £5.50, and it went off well. And about the impressions, I'm horrible at impressions. I've never done impressions before, but I thought it'd be funny to add in a Trump impression for this speech, so I purposely learned it just for the speech. It's really difficult because it hurts your throat, because he kind of talks like this, and then he raises his voice, and then when he raises his voice, you have to constrict your throat. So every time I practice it, I do it for about 2-3 minutes, and then it starts hurting, so I gotta give it.
Yeah. Did you have to run your speech through your friends, your family, your Toastmaster club members? Did you deliver it previously in your contest, be it your club, division or area, or was this the first time you delivered this speech?
No, I've delivered it many times. So I delivered it at the club level, which was at Reading Speakers, my home club. And then I delivered it at the area. And then I delivered it at Reading Speakers again as a rehearsal. And then I rehearsed it at Wokingham Speakers. And then I rehearsed it at Ascot and Bracknell Speakers. So I went to about 3 different clubs to rehearse it. And obviously my family and loved ones probably heard it many times because I was doing it in my bedroom. So I rehearsed it many times at different clubs in front of different people to really get that. And the division, of course.
What was the first thing that went through your mind when you were announced as the winner of the humorous speech contest? Was it like, I already knew it, give me the award, or were you not expecting it? What was it?
No, I did not expect it. My confidence was really low before he was saying the awards. So when I came into the competition, I was pumped, you know, I just won the division. I thought I'm gonna smash this. And then I heard the other speakers speak. I thought, I don't know about this one. Then my confidence dropped. I remember I thought my favourite speaker was Isaac, and he came second. So when he said Isaac was second, I was shaking. I was like, oh, could it be me?
Yeah.
Could it be me? And then when they announced my name, the first word was just like, no way. There's no way. I couldn't believe it. It still takes a while to process, doesn't it? For the rest of the night, I was still like, wow, trying to take it all in. Am I hallucinating right now? You know?
Yeah, I think you deserved the wins, which was really good. So well done on that.
Thank you.
Now, writing humor is hard, but delivering it is even harder, just like you said, where you have to work on so many different aspects of your delivery, be it your voice, your pitch, your pace, different personalities that you might have to take on while you're delivering the speech. What does the process look like for you? Like, how do you go from having a funny idea in your mind and developing it into a 5 to 7 minute of winning speech? Can you walk us through the process?
So first starts off with idea generation. By the way, I'm not giving any advice because this is my first humorous speech. I just happened to win. Firstly, the idea generation. So like I mentioned earlier, self-deprecating, something that makes me seem to be a crazy person that everyone can find funny. And I was going through ideas. I typically have a personality where if I find something like a habit, I take it to the extreme. So when I started going to the gym, I started going 7 days a week. When I started running for like 10, 20 kilometers at a time. And when I found out about saving money and being frugal, I didn't go out to eat a meal for months. And I took it way too far. And I became quite an annoying person because my partner would ask, "Can we go out for dinner?" I'm like, "No, got putting it in my ISA, I'm putting it in my investment fund." And then, obviously, I'm not like that now, but I thought of that for the speech and I implemented it. And after writing the script, you have to understand the comedic timing. So obviously comedians, the comedic timing is half of it. It's not even, the jokes are half of it, but the comedic timing is the other half of it. So you have to understand, or do what feels natural to make it seem like it's not forced, if that makes sense. And with the pitch and the expressions, I made sure not to go too overboard because I wanted it to be realistic. After all, I am still making myself out to be a crazy person. So when I was making all those crazy claims about my friend David, I kept kind of a straight face, but I tried to make myself seem angry. So it seemed somewhat genuine. Instead of me recalling a story, it was more, it seemed like it was happening right in front of them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, interesting. So idea generation and making sure the humor feels more natural than forced.
Yeah,
To
like
your
I'm playing a character rather than reciting a story or something.
and taking experience from your telling a story from your own personal experience, which
Yeah.
probably exaggerating a little bit more to make it more
Yeah, the
humorous.
story is completely fabricated though. It's just the idea that was real. So I don't even know anyone called David, for example.
Right.
And I don't even drink alcohol. I quit drinking alcohol 2 years ago. So the
Interesting.
story is completely fabricated, but the idea is real, something that I went through.
Right. So that was an idea that you had at some point in your life, but it never materialized, as in there were never these interactions with your friends, but probably a thought that you
Yeah,
had.
there were definitely the thoughts like you
Interesting.
money, but I never took it that far.
Yeah.
But yeah, the
Fantastic.
stories,
That's interesting. And since you've like said you've competed at many levels, be it from your club to area to division and district, was there a moment in this entire contest journey that surprised you or something probably unexpected happened that taught you a very important lesson, be it about being a speaker or being a winner, whatever that might look like? Any interesting learnings from this experience that you would like to share with us?
So each time I rehearsed a speech, I was given different feedback every single time. So I had different things that I could add and change about the speech. From the first speech to the last one, I'd probably changed it about 7 or 8 times. One of the biggest ones was when I rehearsed at Wokingham. I got a lot of different feedback from different people, and I was pointing a lot during the speech. People said don't point at the guests or the audience. It might seem intimidating, so I cut that out. At one point, I called myself an idiot, or I called someone else, the audience, idiots. And they said, don't do that either. It could disqualify you or eliminate points, stuff like that. Yeah, just mainly lots of feedback from different people. And the beautiful thing was that each feedback was different. It was unique. And so I implemented all of it and complete different speech by the end.
Yeah. So taking in the feedback from each and every delivery and putting it back in was probably the most beneficial experience that you've had.
Definitely. I think everyone else should do that as well. You should deliver the speech to loads of different types of people rather than just at your club or to your family, because they can't pick out some of the things that other people can pick out. So, yeah.
In your Toastmasters journey, obviously you have given speeches at different clubs and you've been a speaker many times. Is there like one habit or mindset that has helped you switch from being a speaker to a winner?
From being a speaker to a winner.
Be it a mindset or a habit that you practice.
Yeah. It's going to be quite similar to what I answered already, but it's to seek feedback. Sometimes from my evaluations, I ask people, don't give me any positive evaluation, just say the negatives. People are quite reluctant to do it, but I always request that. And aside from feedback, it would also be obviously going out your comfort zone. Constantly doing things that you feel would be unnatural to you in delivery or to different people or at different locations. For example, I perform a lot at Reading and Wokingham Speakers. Those are my 2 clubs. And then when I performed at Ascot Speakers, I was incredibly nervous because it was a new room, new faces. I had no idea what they thought. You know, it was different people. I had never spoken to them before. So that was a real waking up call. I thought I got really comfortable at these 2 clubs and I thought, you know, I knew my stuff. Went to Ascot and my nerves were through the roof. Same thing happened at the division, but I got used to it because I kept doing it.
Yeah, okay. I'm curious to know, how do you use humor as leadership tools, for example, be it in your workplace, be it working with teams, in your career, or even like in like personal life, where there is a leadership sort of scenario that comes up? How do you use humor, or do you use humor in that scenario to lead teams or even like diffuse tension in like a work environment? How does that look like for you?
Yeah, humor solves so many things and fixes so many scenarios in work, relationships, day-to-day everything. So for example, at Reading Speakers Club, as the president, I'm always throwing in stupid little jokes here and there, because you are the spokesperson, right? You are the person that's supposed to dictate the atmosphere of the room. And if you're always serious all the time, or doing club business or whatever, trying to go through the agenda, it's not as welcoming for guests, and it doesn't set that much of a family type of atmosphere. We feel much more tight-knit when we're always throwing around jokes. And for example, like if the grammarian comes up, I'll introduce the grammarian and say they're a very handsome man or something, or something along those, just stupid things, you know, to make people feel at ease and make it feel more relaxable, make them feel more relaxed.
Yeah.
And not only that, humor builds rapport, right? When you're speaking to someone you don't know. For example, I'm having a lot of job interviews recently, and I always try to throw in little jokes here and there, phrasings, and it builds that rapport, and it's like subconsciously builds this trust, just having a little bit of humor in the way you talk.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing how humor, in a serious work-like environment where you're a leader, it can seem like you have to put up this sort of phase of being serious, or, because you have to do serious stuff. But as you said, adding that humor element can definitely build rapport with your team members, and probably something that you can connect more with people.
Definitely. As a leader, you want to be someone that people can talk to and to respect. Whereas if you're always being serious and angry or straight-faced, people will respect you, but they won't be you wouldn't be someone that they would ideally walk up to and ask for advice or something. They would be intimidated by you. So a leader is all about being inclusive, having that humor, and being able to have people see you in a safe way rather than someone to be disciplined to.
Yeah, absolutely. Apart from humor, do you think there are other Toastmasters skills that has helped you show up differently in your career, in your work or personal life? As you know, there's so many different things that we practice in Toastmasters, and humor is just one of them. But are there any more that you would like to share with us in terms of what you've learned from Toastmasters that you use on a day-to-day life to connect with people, to show up differently as a more confident person?
Yes. Filler words, that's the only one. Before I started Toastmasters, I didn't even have filler words on my mind. They just came out of my mouth. That was life, right? Everyone uses filler words. I didn't care at all. Until I joined my first session, and then I heard the grammarian speaking, and they were like, Danny, 15 ums, 7 so's, 5 buts. I was like, oh my God, this is bad. This is really bad. And then after a few sessions, I started listening to everyone else's filler words, and I started psychoanalyzing everyone that I'm speaking to in my day-to-day life. And then whenever I started using filler words mid-conversation, and I said, in my head, I'd be like, what are you doing, Danny? Why are you saying that? Why are you saying that? And now every time I use a filler word, there's a little voice in the back of my head, the little grammarian. He's trying to discipline me with a cane. He's trying to whip me. Yeah, I'm still trying to fix it, still use filler words, but my filler words have dramatically increased, and I'm more used to just pausing for 1 second instead of using a filler word, kind of like what I just did then.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I have noticed throughout this podcast, you've barely used any filler words.
Really?
Yes.
Ooh, some days I use a lot, so this makes me feel very good. Thank you, Reiko.
Fantastic. So that's really good to know. Okay, so what advice do you have for other leaders or other people who want to add a bit of humor into their daily lives, be it in their leadership sort of scenario, but they think they're not quite funny? What advice would you give for leaders to bring a bit of humor into their work environment?
I just want to classify, I don't think I'm a hilarious person. I don't think I'm a comedian or anything. But I am a very carefree person. I normally don't stress about things. In every workplace I've been at, I do the work, of course, but I'm not super stressed about this deadline or this and this. I still get them done, but I think it depends on I think it's because of my personality type. So I am an ENTJ, I'm pretty carefree about things, but I still get them done. And that gives me the ability to just have fun at work. I'm not always stressed about everything, and I'm not always worried about the way people perceive me. I think in a workplace, people are very stiff because they are worried about the way they're perceived by their colleagues, and because they're stressed from whatever factors are stressing them at work. So just be carefree, stop trying to care. And if you keep stressing, stress is the #1 factor. I did research on this, and stress lowers your age, your life expectancy, more than any other factor, more than what you eat or how much you sleep. Stress is the #1 dictator of how long you live. So stop stressing, and you'll start enjoying your life a little bit more, especially at the workplace. Have a few more laughs.
Cool. And when it comes to adding humor, do you sort of look into your own personality trait and analyze what sort of things that you want to convey as a part of being perceived as a humorous person or a funny person? I'm sure that's not something, an effort that you put into For someone to think where they can start from if they're not funny, what is like a good place for them to start? Is it to analyze their personality? Is it to see, other people, maybe like other comedians, and see what they resonate the best with and sort of impersonate that, since as you've done a bit of impersonation yourself?
Yeah, I would suggest, so as I was researching my personality type, I read that people with my personality, we typically say edgier things. We joke about more things that people would deem to be taboo at work or something. And I think if you allow yourself to not cross the line, but go out of your comfort zone with jokes, especially in the workplace, I think it'd be really freeing, really gratifying. You may think, you may have like 1,000 thoughts in your mind all day, but you don't say them because you think, oh, I don't want someone to think of me in this way. But for me, I don't care. Honestly, couldn't care less. So I say what's on my mind. Of course, it has to be appropriate. Freeing yourself and letting yourself push those boundaries of, maybe you can have a little dig at your manager or something. Some people may find that incredibly intimidating, but that's something I would do. I always have a dig at the seniors, have a laugh. Like I said, it builds rapport, and it actually makes you likable, especially if you're an entry-level or a younger person at the workplace. The fact that you can show this confidence to have a dig at your managers and your seniors can go a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're almost at the end of the podcast. I just have one last quick fire question. What is the one book or one quote that has shaped you as a speaker, apart from being carefree?
I wouldn't say any book has influenced me as a speaker. All the books have influenced me in my day-to-day speaking, but not as a public speaker.
Yeah.
A book that would have changed my day-to-day speaking is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. There's actually some jokes going on right now about how people read that book. They just start always saying people's first names at the start of the sentence. So I started doing that very often. I would just say people's... So, for example, at my club, I would just say, hey, how's the meeting? Hope you enjoyed it. And now I say, hey, your name, how was the meeting, how was your week, stuff like that. It kind of sounds like the basics, but you don't really realize it until you read about it.
Yeah.
And the quote that I would say changed things as a speaker, not just as a speaker, but in every day, it's a quote by Winston Churchill. Hold on, let me find it quote for quote, because I don't want to butcher his amazing quote.
Absolutely.
I'm struggling to find the quote, but it goes something like this. Success is about going through failure over and over again while keeping a straight face. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
So it means you have to suck at something and you fail, and instead of getting emotional or upset about it, you just shrug it off, do the same thing again and again and again and again and again and again. And that was my lesson at the very start of Toastmasters.
Nice. All right, so that brings us to the end of the podcast. Danny, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Reminded us that humor can be a really powerful tool when it comes to connecting with others.
Definitely.
Building rapport, and even in leadership scenarios where you need to build that sort of rapport with your team members or even your seniors. So you've brought that humor to all aspects of your life. So it's really good to see that. And
it breaks the ice, doesn't it? It's a really good way of breaking the ice.
It surely does.
Try use that humor.
Yeah.
Push the boundaries.
Awesome. So we look forward to seeing all of the great things you continue to do both within and outside Toastmasters. So thank you so much, Danny, for being as a part of the podcast. Thank you everyone for joining us. We hope to see you in our next episode. Until then, keep calm and dish the nerves.
Thank you, everyone. Dish those nerves. Take care.